That's a good question.
Bring it up and we'll see what they know. Okay.
You know, she got the
Yeah, I don't know where he's at. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Before we start, I want to just make a small announcement. I want to start off tonight just by addressing the last couple meetings. All the excitement, you know, I know there's a lot of excitement surrounding the election and things like that. But when we're here in chambers, we're here for one reason, that's do business for the city. That's what we're elected to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We're not going to play politics. We're not going to play all the silly games. People can either do that at home or they can do it on Facebook. Doesn't matter to me. But anyway, we just want to move forward. All the interest of the people here in Lawrenceburg, that's what, like I said, we were elected to do. And so we will do that, and that'll start tonight until the election anyway. With that, let's get started. I'd like to call to order the City of Lawrenceburg Board of Works meeting for October 7th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr. is absent. Board Member Alan Calloway.
Here.
Police Chief Don Combs, our Assistant Police Chief David Schneider.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Rick Clark.
Here.
City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
City Coordinator Brian Messmore. Here. Utility Director Olin Clausen is absent. President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, any announcements for this meeting? Mooch, you had one?
It's really not an announcement, it's more of a question, and it's maybe directed at you two over there. Our water tower up on the hill, is it required to have a light on top of it?
That would probably be an Olin question.
Yeah, that one I really don't know what the
Because I know for years when I lived up there was a light on top of it, and probably the last 4 or 5 years, there has not been, and for some reason I thought by law we were supposed to have one on there.
I know there's a certain height minimum before you have to, but we'll follow up on that for you.
Yeah, if you could, please. I don't want them to come down on us because of a light bulb.
Mooch has a hard time climbing up that thing at night without a light on.
I used to do that as a kid.
We'll check on it though.
I hit a laser up there and hit that bulb and maybe light it up.
Yeah, well, can we check on that, guy?
Check on
Okay,
it.
thanks. Good point, Mooch. Anything else?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then also, we had a set of meetings that we need to approve from the September 26th special session. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second? Oh, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Committee reports. Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
I passed out the call volume for September. Everybody should have a copy. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, as I spoke in the last meeting, our evaluation's Wednesday. Everything's ready to go with that. Just my nerves are shot, but that's okay. And just a reminder, October 17th, we'll be traveling to Michigan for the final inspection on the chassis for the new truck. The chassis, once we let it go, it'll get sent to Wisconsin for assembly. So that's all I have.
All righty. Assistant Police Chief David Schneider.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to, as discussed earlier, I would like to approach the board tonight to move with the second hire at the Lawrenceburg Police Department. This will be no additional appropriations. This will be a replacement. So we don't need anything except to fill that line item there. We would pull out of the last pool that we just recently ran through of the top 4 applicants in that. And if it pleases the board, I have a name of that applicant tonight, and I'd like to move with that hire.
What? So we hired the one A week and a half ago? You okay?
You got the chair tonight.
Whoopee cushion in there, was it?
Doesn't make the right noise though.
Well, yeah, that's a personal, okay. Anyway, okay, Mr. Snyder, you want to rephrase that so Mr. Seymour can hear that?
Yeah, Mr. Seymour, I was saying, if it pleases the board, I'd like to go ahead and move on the second hire at the Lawrenceburg Police Department. This is no additional appropriations needed. This would be a replacement. It would be a hire out of the last pool that we previously discussed. It would be the top 4 applicants there and move to the next one. And I have a name ready if so pleases the board. I would like to move to go ahead and replace that officer.
You guys, okay with, can we get a name?
AJ Hastings.
AJ Hastings. Okay. This is the second hire, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Out of this last hiring pool.
all right. Okay, a motion on the floor. Any questions from you guys? Motion on the floor to hire AJ Hastings as a full-time police officer for the Lawrenceburg Police Department. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Richardson, Dearborn Community Center.
Rick Clark.
Or, no, first disbursement. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't forget
Hi.
about you.
We should have done this under new business, David. I'm sorry. We did it under your committee
Oh, I'm
report.
sorry.
Okay,
that's right.
No, that's
all right.
That's my fault.
that's right. We just want to have to do it now. EMS Director Rick Clark.
Thanks, Your Honor. Just a couple things. I
Go
handed
ahead.
out our monthly stats. Our run volume is 178. It's about the middle of the road for us. It's pretty good. I wanted to let you know that we had a recall on our AEDs across the city. And so I had our staff go around each department where we have them. I wasn't aware, but now I am, that we have 17 AEDs between staff cars and the city buildings. The recall didn't affect our units, but we did find that we had a lot of outdated pads, defibrillation pads. They run about $19 a piece, so I'll get a final cost, but I think it's going to be less than $200. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. Also on the 22nd, at our event center, Air Care and Mobile Care from UC will present us emergency symposium on the shootings that happened in Cincinnati at the bank. So I've assigned our staff to attend that. So
That's the 22nd
yes, sir.
of October?
It'll be an all-day 8 to 3 classroom setting.
On the AEDs, as part of your 17, do you have the Pee Wee football?
We have not been able to check that yet, but we're aware
Okay,
that once.
I just didn't know if that was part of your 17 that you
Yeah.
counted, so I know they have one, so
Yeah.
need to make sure.
And
it's-
we'll get that taken care of soon.
Okay, all right. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay,
Hey, Kelly, I got
Yes.
a question for Johnny. Johnny, on your report I got here,
Yes.
God, I'm hoping this is, that I'm not overlooking something, but I don't see any overdoses for the month.
Oh, on ours? No, we wouldn't have that outlined on
Would
ours.
that be on,
He would be able to, Rick would be able to.
It's right
give you
here.
more of that information.
it's on this one.
okay.
There's 6 of
Oh,
them.
that was for you or him?
Too many.
I just
I was
grabbed-
dreaming.
Highest month of the year, right, Rick?
Yeah, and that also includes other types of drugs besides opiate.
Right,
So,
right,
yeah, that was a little higher.
okay. Thank you. That answer your question, Mooch?
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Okay, under new business, we took care of the first item. Second item, Mr. Richardson, DCC HVAC, the first disbursement.
This is in your packets. It's for the Dearborn County Community Center HVAC project invoice disbursement. You do have the breakdown there. We just need a motion so that we can apply for those funds and then have that put into our account. We'll pay that within 5 business days of the receipt of it.
That was from that grant.
It's from the, yes, the grant from Okra.
They're currently working on that project now, right?
Correct.
While they're down, shut down, whatever. Okay.
Do we have an engineer or somebody overseeing the project? Who would that?
Lane Consultants, the design professionals on it.
Them, and then they also have, Kevin Robin, who is a electrical mechanical engineer.
Okay, and the only reason why I'm asking is because this request doesn't tell me who overseen the amount, percentages or anything. I'm all right with it, but when they do it from now on.
On the actual invoice,
Yeah.
because we just received our contractor daily
Okay.
report forms today, we actually have a claim and a PO, Richard, that we'll probably get tomorrow or the next day, that also has a letter from the engineer
Okay,
recommending that we pay X amount.
that's fine. That's what I was looking for. So I'm okay with moving forward. I'd like to see them have it on these though from now on also.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Get
as
it
soon
to
as
you.
we get
As soon as we get it, we can
that
show
letter,
you.
yeah.
It's actually on my desk. I just received the dailies because we
Okay.
had to hold it until we got those. Mayor, I'll end up bringing that up to your sign box tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to pay the first disbursement for the HVAC project at the community center.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. No other new business for this meeting. Old business, Mr. Clark, HVAC chillers, I believe this is the Johnson Controls, carried over from last meeting.
Yes, sir. Should I present from here, or would you like me at the
That's
podium?
fine. You-
Okay. We've had some issues with our chillers at the firehouse for the past couple of years. Actually, I found a quote from Johnson Controls dated 2016. So what I understand is that half of our chillers are not working. The half that is working has a motor that shows some burn marks on it. Johnson Controls, who does our HVAC system and controls, prepared me a quote to replace the chillers, extending the concrete pad around the chiller, and then all the installation. This would be a continuation of their service to us, since their computer system is hooked up to the boilers and the chillers. They recommend that we get that done as soon as possible. And so I've presented the quote, a copy of the quote to each of you there. So I would like permission to let them know that that's okay.
Any questions, guys? Clark?
Can we do this without more prices? Dale,
Oh, you mean
We
more
need-
quotes?
more quotes? Yeah.
We just need him to solicit 3 quotes. You don't have to bid it, but you can solicit 3. He has to solicit 3 quotes.
Well, the issue we have here is if we do anything besides Johnson Controls, and you guys can explain it better than I can. We talked about it. What's the issue?
The
Is an
issue that our
issue-
technician talked to me about was the computer system speaking with the mechanical system, that their software, their hardware is connected to the chillers, and the boilers that the council replaced just a few years ago. My understanding is that it would cost more because it would make an additional computer system to talk to their existing computer system, and just, the confusion of having 2 different systems there and the increased price, we consider this just a continuation of the care that they already provide us.
And if that's true, that would be an acceptable exception. I would just ask for a letter or something to that effect from them, maybe even an email, would suffice.
Okay.
And that would be an acceptable deviation from the 3 quotes. As long as it's okay with you guys.
Yes, sir.
I think there is a maintenance agreement in place that shows they are sole source for that, equipment down there.
Yeah, and I believe if this board acknowledges that, just what Rick stated, that because of that, it is a sole source issue. I think if you have it on the record by this board, I believe he can go with that one quote that way.
I'm willing to vote to do it as long as I have council's advice to move forward on it. If you feel good about it, I know we need to do it.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
And so in good faith, I'll have them send us a letter of that recommendation too. And
Thank you.
bring that to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fine then.
Any other questions regarding the chillers? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement with the HVAC chillers with Johnson Controls.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you. Next, Mr. Clark, Center Street rehab quote.
Thank you, Your Honor. We've got one section for mill and overlay on Center Street from Short to Elm. We invited 4 contractors, which all received the quote packages. We did receive 2 quotes got turned in today. Honestly, this time of year, I'm kind of happy that we got any. But we'd like to go ahead and open those and see if we can't get that awarded, so we get that done before the snow flies this year.
Okay.
The first is Dave O'Mara, Contractors, Inc. They have a bid amount of, or a quote amount of $33,370.40. The next quote is from Paul H. Rowe Company, and they have a quote amount of $30,900.70.
You want to take that under advisement and then come back with, if it's,
Honestly, no, I think right
Everything-
now, just because of the time of year, we need to get this awarded. Both of them are pre-qualified with us. At this time, I would recommend we go with the low bid.
I got one question.
Yes.
You guys always get unit prices in case something happens. How
This,
are their unit prices?
there's only 2, Paul.
Okay,
This is a lump sum quote,
okay,
but we have 2 unit costs that they also attached. One is for full depth dig out and repair, and the other is for, it's a special more or less sealant or crack pour. It's called -64, so that when they put it down, and if they do put it down and pave over it, the 400-degree asphalt won't boil it and bubble it up and cause deflection. But until we get the 1.5-inch mill done, we don't know for certain that we have to do either of those. So we've
Right.
got a lump sum on everything except for those. That determination will be made after the mill.
I guess my point is, we're not very far apart, so if one of them's unit price, so those 2 things are way above.
They're both identical.
Okay, that's fine.
okay. So you feel comfortable awarding that to the lowest bidder?
I do, yes.
Okay, any other questions, guys? If not, I'll entertain a motion to award the Center Street rehab quote to Rowe Company in the amount of $30,900.70.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you. Okay, no additional old business for this meeting. First, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we also have to approve the claims from 9/16, since we didn't have a Board of Works meeting last regular meeting. So I need a motion to approve the 9/16 claims.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Parks and playgrounds as soon as we're seated. While they're getting seated, I'll remind everyone that at 7 o'clock tonight, we've got a recess if we're not done in lieu of the public hearing for the budget. So. Just want to be known, Mr. Davis called today. He's not feeling well, so that's the reason he's not here tonight. So when we do roll call. All right, I'd like to open up the Lawrenceburg Parks and Playgrounds meeting for October 7th, 2019 with a roll call, please.
Board Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Board Member Aaron Cook.
Here.
Board Member Mel Davis is absent. Board Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
City Coordinator Brian Messmore. Here. President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Any announcements, guys? I have none for this particular meeting. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So move.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item under new business, on behalf of the American Legion, they purchased a wheelchair swing for the new playground that's going to be up on Ludlow Hill Park. The plan will then be, and before we get into approving that, but the plan will be then is after we get the park playgrounds done at Ludlow Hill, we're moving down to Arch Street, and then we will also have another one of these swings at that facility. I believe they donated one here and also in Greendale, if I'm not mistaken. But on the Legion would like for us to accept this donation of this wheelchair swing, something we've not had that's needed. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the wheelchair swing.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Any other new business? I have no old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'd like to call to order the City of Lawrenceburg Common Council meeting for October 7th, 2019. If everyone could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's what happened. That's how he did it.
Is that on audio, I hope?
I think it is. I think it picks it up.
We gotta have that one. Yes, we do.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good. All right, Mr. Richardson, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Here.
Councilperson Aaron Cook.
Here.
Councilperson Mel Davis is absent. Councilperson Randy Abner.
Here.
Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
Assistant Police Chief David Schneider.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Rick Clark.
Here.
City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen is absent. City Coordinator Brian Messmore.
Here.
City Court Judge Joe Johns. He is absent. And Mayor Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, under announcements, board reports, streets, alleys, and curbs, Mr. Cook?
Just one thing, Mayor. It's really from Mike Clark. There's a resident at 327 West Center. He has a handicap placard. He wanted to get a spot in front of his house. So just have him get in contact with you.
Yeah, just tell him to contact Brenda, and she'll get him the paperwork, and then we'll go through and get it
Okay,
processed.
that sounds perfect. That's all I had, Mayor.
All righty.
I got an alley
Got it.
behind Fox Drive on the circle. One of the,
Castings,
castings next to it's developing a hole in it.
Howard Excavating, I think is gonna take care of it either, this week or first of next week.
Okay,
Just marked it, I think Friday.
okay. Fox Drive, on the cul-de-sac in the alley,
That'd be right by the Snake Belts.
right behind
Yep,
her.
yep.
Yep. And one other question, the overlay on the dredging. Do you guys have that for us?
The update.
The what, overlay on what? I didn't hear you.
The
Mark.
dredging.
Dredging on the ramp.
I just got an email today. We are this close on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit for actually a 10-year maintenance permit, so that every year for the next 10 years, if necessary, we can do this. Friday, IDNR indicated that they also have to issue a permit, and we have since submitted to them.
That's,
I think he's looking for
that's,
the,
I was wanting the overlay so
Overlay.
I can see
Print
what,
out.
how much it
Oh.
filled in after 1 year.
You mean the sonar part
Well,
of it?
I do have some information on that.
Okay,
I know you requested that like Utter did for us the first time.
yeah,
Utter came down and did it with their boat, just like they did the last time. They only did the east half because they said their boat could not get in to do the other half, and it's to the point we had them come back one time. Now they will not return a phone call nor an email. So,
but the reason why they can't get in there is probably cause it's full,
and
right?
we have been working on, I can give you something that John and I have been working on that incorporates theirs and then what we can physically observe. I can give you that, you know, it's not a certified underwater survey, but it gives a very good indication. So yes, I can give you that.
Is there another company we can get in there to,
we have the resistivity electronic.
We can, but at this point, I'd really like to go ahead and get our maintenance permit and go ahead and get that area at the new ramp and dock cleaned out, and
The only reason
come
why-
back and take a look at it.
Well, the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because if after 1 year we spent, what, 400 grand? Put a canoe only sign up by the dock. I don't care. I don't wanna waste money every year to do it.
because
And if the dock shouldn't be there, maybe we let people fish off of it out in the channel, but I don't know. I think we concentrate on the other end around the main ramp, sounds to me like.
And we are following up with the Corps of Engineers and IDEM on some alternative methods to do what you first suggested from the river to the ramp. And I haven't got an answer back on that because what they allowed 20 years ago, they're kind of frowning on today. So that is still a work in progress.
I just,
After, I mean, if you go down, well, anybody can go down there and take a look at it. It's, after 1 year, how much it silted back.
it all came back.
Oh, you couldn't even get up to the dock.
So I just don't, you know, I mean, if we're gonna do the maintenance ourselves, we got an awful lot to do, and I don't know. If any maintenance is done, I'd like it brought before us and knowing what the cost is gonna be, if we need to buy any equipment or anything, cause I just personally don't think it's worth it.
Not if it's gonna silt back in that quick and that much.
And there again, one of the thoughts is unless, and Paul, you mentioned this, unless we get it opened up from the river to our facility, that it'll probably continue as it's been. That's why I'm kind of looking to jump ahead to see some alternative methods to try to open that up. The channel in some places, I've been told is as shallow as 2.5 feet, so.
It is.
All right. Anything else? Under streets, alleys, and curbs? Finance, Mr. Abbott?
We're good.
Parks and playgrounds, Mr. Seymour?
I'm good. I would like to comment on one thing. I should have done it on the streets. Good job by everybody involved on Hollywood Boulevard. The lights
Yeah,
are great.
they do.
I think they're up now, and I really think everything's done. So just good effort by everybody to get them done. They look good too. Everybody compliments on them.
They look better than the red ones.
They look good.
I think. So, all right. Fire, Randy Abner?
Fire prevention month, where they're gonna be busy. Go ahead.
Well, we got Halloween sensation is what night? 24th?
24th, I think it's last Thursday of the month, and it's not Halloween.
No. Yeah, it is. That's
20
the last.
Yeah,
Well, the last Thursday is the 31st. But
24th.
yeah. Okay. All right. No other announcements. So
I've got an announcement.
Whoops. Okay. You
Can I
go
do
ahead.
it?
You go right ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off.
That's good.
We're doing a I Love My City campaign out of the clerk treasurer's office. So basically what we've decided to do, if anybody has got a picture of the city of Lawrenceburg, or somebody wants to do a drawing of the city of Lawrenceburg to show how much you love the city, bring that down to the clerk treasurer's office. We've got a few goodie bags that we can pass out to anybody that does it. We'll hang those in the windows, basically just to promote the city, just something positive. Show us why you love the city so much. I think we've got about 7 participants so far that have dropped off photos or drawings. So we'd like to get as much participation in that as possible. So if you've got a photo, print that off and bring it to us. Or if you're a good artist, I hear Paul is, maybe you can draw us a picture, bring it on down, we'll hang it up.
That's any age.
And it's any age. Yep, any age.
Came in late, so you get beat up for. Okay, any other announcements? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
If anybody has any questions on the run totals for September, just give me a holler. That's all I got.
Okay. Assistant Police Chief David Schneider.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to touch base real quick on Fall Fest. I'm happy to report we had no arrest, no anything to talk about there. It was a good, relaxed crowd. Had a couple missing kids. We did relocate them back to their parents. Beyond that, no issues at all. Went really well. And I would also like to gloat over our public safety night a little bit. I know many of you stopped down. Appreciate that. Always appreciate seeing council participation in these events. We had over 200 kids in attendance throughout the course of the evening. We gave out over 300 hot dogs. They had circus performers, so on and so forth. and they had canine demonstrations, and canine teams from all over the country was here doing some training. We have a master instructor and our canine officer, Jacob Jump. He put a lot of this together. He put pretty much all of this together, actually, and with very limited funds, and a lot of things were donated, and it went over really well.
Pretty good attendance, really.
Yes, it was.
Good. Anything else?
Sir.
EMS Director Rick Clark.
Hi, the run stats for last month are in front of you, so if you have any questions, just ask. I did want to announce a cooperation between us and the hospital's education department. We may be hosting some advanced EMT classes in our meeting room. It's the hospital's classes, but we're going to have the facilities for them a few times, and they can use some of our equipment and some of our personnel to help with grading and things like that. So I'm going to let you know that.
Good. Okay.
That's all I had.
All right. New business, Mr. Richardson, the HVAC first disbursement from the Board of Works meeting.
Same thing as from the Board of Works. It's the Dearborn County, or the Dearborn Community Center HVAC project invoice disbursement breakdown. We'll work on getting you that additional detail that you were questioning about, so we'll provide that for you. We just needed approval from council to move forward with the claim.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the first disbursement for the HVAC for the community center.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion will carry. Thank you. All right, Mr. Clark, go on the old Firehouse Center Street alley vacation.
This is in conjunction with the Civic Park and the Firehouse development that the LRC is taking care of. What we need to do for both developments is to vacate that portion of alley, which we already have our fenced-in area with our controls for the Civic Park. And we need to then, once it's vacated, have the city then transfer that to the redevelopment so that they can do a lot split and disperse part of the property to the firehouse and the other part to keep with the Civic Park where the controls are. Dale, if you would, take it from here.
Yes, sir. So what Mike's talking about is the property just adjacent to the firehouse. And Mr. Messmore's here today too with redevelopment. So part of that project involves them building a patio in part of that alley. So they would get part of the alley, not all the alley. That has not been surveyed yet or sized up yet. You guys will all have input into that. Redevelopment owns all that property, the park property and the firehouse property. But our thoughts have always been we want everyone to kind of sign off on what that looks like, and then whatever part of that alley gets carved out and added to the firehouse parcel will get your approval, and then it'll become a permanent part of that. We are, for the firehouse redevelopment agreement, we are going to maintain ownership of that property for 5 years while they're getting their feet underneath of them. That was our deal that we cut with them from redevelopment, and so we'll own that for 5 years, and then if everything's successful, which we think it's going to be, we're really excited about that firehouse project with the Hebron Grill proprietor, then we would transfer them the firehouse, and that would include this parcel with the alley. So we would just ask that we approve resolution number
7-2019.
7-2019. This is the vacation resolution, and if you have any other questions, I can answer them, or Mr. Messmore, or Mr. Clark, and Mr. Todd.
Any questions? If not, then I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution number 7-2019.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I got one question about this though. On this layout here, it says on the corner, on the other side of the alley, that the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission owns that still. Shouldn't that be the city now?
The redevelopment commission, the Where the park is?
Yes.
Yeah, the redevelopment ends that.
Should we transfer that to the city? Like, because the rest of the whole other half is the city right here. Shouldn't this be the city too, this corner?
Correct me if I'm wrong, are you talking about south of the firehouse?
Yeah, right here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think that's all redevelopment, but I could be wrong.
Because these other three strips here say City of Lawrenceburg.
Well, it says City of Lawrenceburg Department of Redevelopment.
Okay, so it's all, should it stay in redevelopment then, or should it be transferred to the city?
That's up to you guys. Traditionally, it's better for it to be in redevelopment because of their flexibility with the adjacent properties. So any of the adjacent properties we develop, redevelopment will be able to do that where the city might not necessarily be able to. So if you think about the firehouse, think about the row house, and the properties that surround the park, that's why that would be advantageous, but of course that's up to you guys.
Doesn't it have to be redevelopment since we're using TIF money on that?
That would be part of it, but it could still be in the TIF district and it wouldn't necessarily have to be owned by redevelopment. As long as it's in the TIF district, it would be taxed that way and go into the TIF fund. But we're gonna own it, so it won't matter for those 5 years. And part of that agreement, if you guys remember, for the redevelopment, we've negotiated with the people who are in that deal with us that they're gonna pay the taxes that would have been generated to go into a TIF fund, even though it wouldn't accrue because the city maintains ownership. Mike, did you have a?
Yeah, on those three though, they're actually under redevelopment ownership inventory. It says City of Lawrenceburg, but then it says Department of Redevelopment. For some reason, they worded it that way, but that actually is currently owned by redevelopment.
What about the property at the corner of Short and High, because it doesn't have a label on it?
That's redevelopment also, yes.
Yeah, it does. It is confusing how it's listed, but
It's all one lot.
Take care of your question,
Yep.
Aaron?
Yep.
Okay.
thank you.
Can we also get a motion that the city transfer the vacated alley to redevelopment, so we have record of that?
I think that's,
Any questions regarding that? You okay with doing that?
I'll make the motion, we proceed on with that, Mayor.
All right, the motion would be to transfer ownership from the city to redevelopment
Correct.
once the alley is vacated.
Yes.
Motion on the floor by Randy. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion will carry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have one on here that is not on your agenda. It's the donation committee requests. You guys got those in your packet? Recommendations? If so, I'd like to get a motion to approve those.
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. The next one I have is the LMU invoice that was passed on from the utility board.
I don't have that. Because I don't have the,
Oh, it was from the, I don't know, we included the actual invoice in the, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got a few questions on that. I mean, is it legal for us to pay it? That's number one. Number two, are you going to allot the money for it to be paid?
Well, I'd asked for those, those documents, the work logs. I haven't gotten those yet. Last I had talked to Colin, he was working on something. So that's where it was left.
do we table it to the next meeting until we get those, you think?
Can,
I'd like to make a motion, we table it to the next meeting.
okay. Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Aye.
Councilperson Aaron Cook.
Aye.
Councilperson Mel Davis is absent. Councilperson Randy Abner.
Aye.
Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
No.
Okay, it'll be tabled till the next meeting by a vote of 3-1.
Should we, in the meantime, also work on the appropriation or wherever we're gonna get the money from if it does go through.
Yeah, 'cause right now, there's no money left in this year's budget.
That's
for
what
sure.
I'm wondering.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I get those, I have to look at those logs and I wanna approve
Yeah,
the hours,
yeah.
you know.
I was just
before-
trying to get it done in a
Well, I want a
timely
ruling
manner, if
from the
not-
clerk treasurer also that we're allowed to pay it. Because I was told at one time we were not. So I want that cleared up too at the next
Okay.
meeting.
All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, next item is Marie Edwards and Grayson Gray.
He isn't here, but I am.
Okay.
I would like to take a real quick second and thank a couple of folks. I'd like to thank David Snyder, Johnny Tremaine, and Rick Clark. Thank you so very, very much, and thank you for your very quick response when we needed help the other night. Thank you all. And Suzanne, thank you for everything. I'm not here tonight out of anger or anything like that. I would just like to get something cleared up for future people that stand here and for future people that deal with the city of Lawrenceburg and grants or whatever they may be. Because there's been a lot of talk in the community here lately about one, and it involves my son, and I would just like to clear it up a little bit. First of all, and very quickly, how many of you have even seen any of these papers that have to do with Grayson's lawsuit? I bet you have never even seen them. I was told today that I shouldn't come tonight because this might bring up some bad things that my son had done in his life in past times. Well, my son hasn't done anything that I'm ashamed of. He hasn't done anything that bothers me. As a matter of fact, when he worked at Seagram, 60% of his hires as business agent were for people in the city of Lawrenceburg. He hired over 300 people that are citizens of Lawrenceburg to hire at Seagram's. He donated his time for Pee Wee football and Fall Fest and every other thing for the city of Lawrenceburg. So no, I'm not embarrassed by him at all. Matter of fact, one time when Mario was in Sturgis and was in a heap of trouble, it was Grayson, he picked up the phone and called to come and help him.
I was in trouble with Sturgis?
Yes. I know that for a fact, Mario. I don't make mistakes on things like that. But anyhow, why I'm here tonight is I want to talk about lawsuits. I was also told today that this lawsuit is over, done, it's gone, and that's fine. No hard feelings or anything like that, except there's a couple of things I would like to know for the future of other people that are going to be standing up here. One, why isn't there something in place in this city where everything that is being worked on as lawsuits or anything like that, that every member of this council is not being made aware of? For example, Grayson, at one time, he and Shelley offered to take a $20,000 settlement. It was refused. Why was it refused? Because it went on for about 3, 4, 5 more years, so the attorneys could make a whole lot more money in their pocket. That's why it was refused. No other reason. And I want to go on record as that because $20,000 we could have got out of this, and we ended up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers. Doesn't make sense to me, guys. But I'm asking you councilmen this, because when you guys came in, with the exception of one that isn't here tonight, you guys were my knights in shining armor for the people of Lawrenceburg. When you guys came into office, and you still are, because the 4 sitting here tonight, I think are 4 of the best men that ever sit up there. And I mean that sincerely. We don't always agree, but that's okay, because I like the way you handle yourselves. And that's why I'm asking you, if you guys get back on, whatever you do, can you find the answers to these questions? And I asked for, and I'm expecting from Richard any day now, how much money was spent total on my son's lawsuit over these years that the $20,000 was turned down for, and this money was decided to go to an attorney instead of being paid $20,000. I want to know. It doesn't make any sense to me, nor does some other lawsuits going on here make any sense, because believe it or not, guys, sometimes, once in a while, these lawsuits that come up against the city, guess what? They're justified. They are justified. They aren't all a trick to come in here and get money or something. The money that's going all around Lawrenceburg, the hundreds and thousands of dollars that my son walked off with, our son, guess what? You know how much money he ever got from the city of Lawrenceburg? $7,500 in half a grant. And the checks were written by that out of the clerk treasurer's office. He received not a penny more. You can check every file there is. He received not a penny more. He did not receive these hundreds and thousands of dollars. It was bad enough that he was accused of stealing $40,000 when he was on Fall Fest, that he was getting paid that. And anybody in this town knows everything goes to the clerk treasurer's office. I just want to get these things settled up as any of you folks would with your families, because I know all of you and you're good family people and you're good men. All of you are. But I also want to know, Dell, since you told me today about Grayson's attorney, I researched that. And here's what he said. He sent this to Shelley. Thanks for the information. It's helpful. I think the city makes a mistake when it relies only upon the attorneys to represent them in negotiations. In fact, in another case recently mediated, Dell Weldon attended. Then he reported back to council in an open public meeting and completely misrepresented what happened at the mediation. In other words, he had it wrong. He did not even report the correct dollars and figures that were discussed. Now, why is that happening in this city? Why are decisions being made behind closed doors that they can't vote? You can't vote in executive sessions. Did you guys all know that? The vote is supposed to take place here in front of the people of the city of Lawrenceburg. It's not supposed to be 2 or 3. Randy had even been told that Grayson had gotten a settlement. Aaron had been told nothing. Randy thought it was, I'm sorry, Tony. Tony thought it was with some attorney in Madison who never was on it at all. So that's how much, and Paul, I bet you didn't hear anything. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, guys. And I think all 4 of you know exactly what I'm saying tonight. It's wrong. The people of Lawrenceburg have a right to know what's going on with these lawsuits. They have a right to know, just like with the Linkmar lawsuit, that he's been willing to settle for years and nobody take the man's money. Now that's pretty bad. And that's all I have to say. Like I said, you were my white knights. You came in as my white knights for the city of Lawrenceburg. I hope you're all back. But if you aren't, you'll still be my white knights. Thank you, guys.
Well, and I can address it, and Marie, I love you, and you know I love you.
I know that, Dale.
And you know, with Grayson's case and with Steve Linkmeyer's case, I mean, one of the reasons we do them in executive session is to protect privacy. It's not to hide anything from Lawrenceburg. And I would say the same. I'll say the same thing to Steve when he's on the agenda. You just got to be sure that you want to talk about this, because with Grayson's case, when I came into office, obviously that case had been going on for a long time before I became city attorney.
Yes, it had.
And Frank Kramer had it at Eubanks, and I just left it with him because I'm one of my best friends is Judge Johns, and his wife is Grayson's daughter, and you're very close to me, and I have a very close relationship with your family, And so I made a concerted effort to stay out of that case and stay away from it, because I want to protect your privacy, and I didn't want to be involved in it at all because I love you guys and I care for your family. Frank Kramer's firm had to leave the case, and then we gave it to Joe Sprafka. Joe Sprafka's here, everybody. Joe is the city attorney for West Harrison. He does some legal work for us. He's a really good lawyer. So he kind of took that case over. What I can tell you, a couple things. One, every single case that comes before the city of Lawrenceburg, we have executive sessions, and I tell every member of city council all about the lawsuits. Now and we have lots of executive sessions. We tell them all the details. We tell them anytime a settlement's been offered. If there's a settlement offered 5 years ago, I wouldn't know anything about it. But anytime anyone wants to settle a case, we come in, we try to. You said that Steve Linkmeyer's been trying to pay us for years. He hasn't. That's not true. And we'll talk about that when Steve comes up, but it's just not true. And I agree with what you said. Lawsuits are not inherently one side versus the other. Just because you sue the city of Lawrenceburg doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that you're not entitled to some recovery, and Joe can speak to this better than I can. What I know about Grayson's case is that first of all, Grayson sued us. So any money that was spent defending a lawsuit, I mean, I don't know what you want us to do. You want us to just not defend the case. So to say that, and Steve Linkmeyer said the same things, and he sued us. So to say that we've spent a bunch of money on attorneys isn't really fair, because we're defending a lawsuit. And we have a duty to do that, and we should do that, because this money that's in controversy, the $3 million we loaned Steve, whatever we spent on the firehouse or any of these cases, that's tax money. That's not our money. It belongs to the people. We have to protect it. We have to do what's fair for everyone. And that includes Grayson. And again, I agree with you. I can tell you that Joe took over the case, that Grayson's attorneys called Joe and said, we want to settle this case. We want to dismiss it completely. We don't want any money with prejudice, which means we can never file it again. And of course, we accepted that. And again, we were completely fair. We were very ethical. We kept the city council informed as to the status of the case at all times, which we do with every single case. And we did everything completely right. And I get it, it's your son, and I know you're upset. And the history of the firehouse, you could write a book just about the firehouse. And your brother's involved in the firehouse. And, and that's why I came to you. I'm the one who came to Marie today, and I didn't say don't come to the meeting. I just didn't, I wanted to answer your questions if I could, so it's not public. And again, maybe that's just me saying, whatever. If people want to talk about stuff in public, they can. That's fine. Yeah. But I can tell you, Marie, and it's not just Delta Marie, it's city attorney to everyone who lives here. Every single person who sues us is treated honorably and fairly throughout the entire process. I promise you that.
That is not true.
Yes, ma'am.
That is not true. For example, when Mel Davis represented the city and went up there to Indianapolis, I know how he behaved up there. Secondly of all, Grayson and Shelley were never told that this lawsuit was dropped. As a matter of fact, what their attorney told them was they were told by someone here in the city of Lawrenceburg, since he had 3 lawsuits going, if he dropped that, he had a much better, he would have a much better reception from the attorney in the city of Lawrenceburg if he dropped at least one of those lawsuits, and one of them was Grayson's, because that's the last person they wanted to get any money from the city of Lawrenceburg. And Dal, I have nothing to hide about Grayson, nor does he have anything to hide. And yes, he had the firehouse. Do you know how much money he spent on the firehouse? He and Shelley, now that we brought it up, he and Shelley got together a $100,000 settlement when they left Seagram's. They spent every penny of that on working on that firehouse and on stocking it and everything. And Shelley also got $1,000 or $60,000 divorce settlement, which she also put that in the firehouse.
Yeah.
There are people sitting in this room right now who I won't mention. I wish Jane Pope was here tonight, because she would know exactly what I'm talking about, who went down to Kramer's office and put terrible things in. They said Grayson was using the firehouse to go to the bathroom on the floor and all this. Do you guys honestly think I would let our grandbaby in that firehouse under those conditions? No. And I was down there many, many times, and Jane Pope was in there many, many times. And I'm really disappointed in the person that went down there and said that, because I was a very, very good friend of his family's. And things like that happen in this town, that's the things that upset me. Because there are people in this town that say one thing, but and why did Frank Kramer get dropped? Because you were sitting in court, Dale, when I was down to court, Terry was down there, and when Frank Kramer asked Robert Eubanks to get on the stand himself and testify against Grayson, Bob Eubanks got on the stand and said, everything that Grayson Gray has told you today is the truth. And you can check with Bob Eubanks on that. That's what's upsetting me.
And Mary,
one more thing, Dale.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I went through HELL in this town in 2006, 2007, and 2008. I was accused, since we're bringing it all up because everybody's so fair in this town, I was accused of being a thief. My name was ran through the mud. I was investigated up one side and down the other. And guess what? I had done nothing wrong. But it was at the same time they went after Grayson for the firehouse. Now, let me mention this to the folks in the audience. Grayson and Shelley at the firehouse were charged. Their utilities went from about $100 a month to $800 to $1,000 a month, thanks to Mel Davis wanting his son to get all the T-shirt business.
Mary,
they-
and we've got a
and-
break, we've got a 7 o'clock, but what I can
Okay,
tell
but
you.
let me finish this.
But ma'am,
They-
we have a 7 o'clock
They wouldn't
hearing.
give me time to get the $85,000 to pay for the firehouse. Within a couple of months, they sold it to Tim Denning for $5,000, and his utilities went to $50 a month. Now, you tell me there's something not wrong there.
But Marie, no one up here did that. And I'm telling you that these guys, I've worked with them for 4
But
years.
don't try to stop me from talking, Dale, because I'll go
Ma'am,
to
I
the
would
paper.
never. And I apologize, and I would never do that
Okay.
to you. But what I can tell
Thank
you
you.
is this council
Yeah.
has attended every executive session. They've asked questions. They've become educated. They've been very fair. Very,
Some of
very
these
fair.
people have told me that they have not been told everything, Dale.
Well, but that's not true, and I,
I believe the council did.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, we got a recess, 7 o'clock for the public hearing for the budget. Anyone in the audience has anything to address the budget, regarding the budget? I entertain that right now. Okay. Well, let it be known that it's 7:03. We are gonna call the budget hearing over, and we will recess back into the city council meeting. And looks like we are on old business. So, Mr. Cook, Linkmeyer settlement?
Mayor, I'd like to ask if the board would table this since Mel's not here. It's a pretty big decision.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I move.
Second?
I'll second his motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other old business?
Got a couple little things.
Yes, sir?
Appraisals for property, on High, in the corner of High and Walnut. Can we, where are we at with that?
We just got our, and I didn't even tell the mayor this yet, we just got our second round back on
Okay.
Friday. We had a first round, but we wanted to get the second. Is it okay if I just give them to you guys and then we can have a work session, or how do you wanna? I'd like you to look at them first. They're commercial appraisals, so they can be all over the place, and they're broken down in different ways. So I think we could even have the appraisers here to kind of say why they price things the way they did. But we do have both sets of appraisals back. We just got them.
Is each one separate for each building?
Yeah, well, yes. So they separate it out by building and by business, and then they add in the rents. It's really convoluted. I don't even understand how they did it. That's why I say I could have them here. That way you guys could ask them questions. What's the value with the rents and how they came to those conclusions? Because there's a couple different values that they've assigned. And Mario and Mike have seen commercial appraisals. They're just a little different. But I can arrange that.
Okay, well, you guys okay if I just schedule a work session for, regarding those appraisals?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll send them to everyone. In the meantime, you can look at them.
Yeah, if we can get them ahead of time. Okay. Anything, we got one other one?
Well, the only other thing, Mayor, is did you ever find out why Mr. Chen was at the last two meetings?
I believe Dell had invited him.
So we didn't, I mean, he's a big money lawyer. What did we invite him for?
He's working with us on utility issues, working with the legal department. He's not any more expensive than any of the other lawyers that we work with, but
I've worked with him before. He's a problem solver.
he is.
Yeah, I didn't know we had any problems.
Well, we've been on the Inquirer a couple times.
Well, here's my statement. I've been on some boards and I've worked with some lawyers. The lawyers that I've worked with in the past will tell me, and my fellow board members, guys, this is not my expertise. I would like to go outside and get some help. Here's what I recommend. I'm might have missed that meeting, I'm gonna give you that. I don't know, but has anybody here have any knowledge of us bringing in an expert?
I didn't.
I feel like, I feel like that we all ought to be a part of that. If we're gonna bring somebody in and we think we have a problem, the first thing we ought to do is the group as a group here decide that we're gonna do it. I think it's a little bit out there to just go hiring a lawyer to come in at your, I would at least like courtesy, and even if it has to be an executive session or whatever, we've been working together now 3.5, 4 years, and we have been really, really, really patient.
Almost 4 years, Paul.
Yeah, I know. But seriously, I mean, I feel like that we do things, you know, we tabled something tonight because, you know, we didn't have some information, but we've asked for information, all of us have, and we've been patient and waited on it, but I really would have liked to known why Mr. Chin was here, because I've worked with him before. He's a very good lawyer, he's very expensive. He's a problem solver, and he's very good at what he does. But I'd at least like to know why we hired him, why he's here. And I know that we can't discuss that in this meeting, but I'm going to request right now that we have an executive session to tell me why we hired that man.
Well, and without going into detail, you know what's going on. As the head of the legal department, I have a duty to look into this. I have to do it. I do not have a choice. And Scott and Ann at Baker Daniels are the best people to help guide us through what's going on with the utility, what's right, what's wrong. I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. I'm just saying that I would be negligent if I didn't look into it. And so that's my job here, and I'm doing my job the right way, the proper way. I mean, and I understand what you're saying, but everything I'm doing is completely compliant with the statute and my position as city attorney.
So in other words, if you think there's something going on that's wrong, but all 4 or 5 of us think that everything's okay, you are the one that gets to make the decision.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Because I represent.
That's all I need to hear tonight.
Well, Paul, I
I'm
represent the city and the people who live here.
No, I'm done.
So it doesn't
I don't need
matter.
to hear any more. That's all I need to hear right there. I know that you people voted me to be in here, and now you realize that what us councilmen sit here and vote on doesn't matter. So I encourage you all to get out there November 5th and vote for the lawyer, because we don't mean nothing.
Can I just interject in this? And Paul, one thing, don't forget that I believe it was 2 meetings ago, there were 4 attorneys here from Mr. Nyberger's group that you guys did not approve.
No.
Well, that could be solved both ways. I mean, if, you know, if.
I think it should be both ways here if we're
Because,
gonna.
I mean, right now.
We're Kelly, we've been in defense for 2 years.
Yeah.
As a group council here, I mean, I haven't been represented.
Okay.
I don't feel
made that.
like I have.
Okay.
So I think, you know, the best thing to do is let's have a session, let's hash it out, because I really want to know.
Okay.
There's things, you know, you've made me promises, Paul, I need to tell you things, I need to tell you, well, I'm waiting, I want to hear it. I haven't had a lot of things explained to me. All I know is that I've got a utility company that used to be in the red, and now we're doing good things. We're doing a fiber optic, and I got my thoughts. I judge a guy by the work he does. I know I'm not popular right now because he's a lightning rod, but the truth is, when's the last time that we had something going this good? We should all be riding this wave. I mean, you guys might not think everything's going good here, but I sure do. So.
Okay. Any other old business?
No, I'm good.
Comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Tom Schneider, High Street. I would like to know what this, I heard a little bit that the appraisals are coming in on the properties that you took back. But looking out my back window and my back door, I see the mall, the antique mall, put a new roof on it. Okay, a new roof was put on it. The air conditioning was fixed, but then it's just touch up the concrete walls, and the one wall is still the same as it was. And I know who the administrator or the guy who works for the city on behalf of that, and he says someone in the city tells him what to do, and he does it. But I think that the job that has been done is half-ass. Okay? It's not, the back wall is not painted, one coat, and the side wall is not painted. So all I would like to know is, number one, when is it going back to where it belongs, which is redevelopment? Okay? And what is the balance? In other words, you're getting rent, there's some rent being paid by the people leasing, and how much are you spending for air conditioning, for the new roof, for all that? Let's see the balance sheet.
Okay. All right.
Because that it should be considered for the price that these properties are gonna be offered on. You're not supposed to spend a bunch of money and then get nothing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Wait a minute, Ms. Zent, she was here
Oh, Tina?
about the scholarship.
See how our scholarship was coming, but I was
It's, the scholarship is funded in the 2020 budget. Yeah. We talked about that, we approved that. With Ivy Tech. Okay, we got some advance claims for approval from, leftover from Fall Fest that are totaling $42,108.29. This should be it
There will be one outstanding claim after this
for Subway?
for $254.55 for Subway,
Okay,
but then that will be the total.
all right. So what I'm asking for tonight is approval to pay the advance claims in the amount of $42,108.29.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Mayor, I got a question about
Yes, sir.
two of them.
Yes.
That goes back to legal stuff too, but this Hoover Hall Turner, it says legal services, $40,000. Who was that? What was that for?
They did they helped us with the appeal on the Franklin County case.
Okay. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. I entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.